Attention!
Region Review.
The Raging Cajuns will be a source of pride for this university, for the alumni, fans, and donors as we achieve success in the classroom, in the competitive arena, and in the community.
It's about to get really fun.
We're looking for dudes that will stand up. Well, Coach, let me tell you today, I'm here and I'm ready to stand up. And I challenge you, Raging Cajun Nation, to stand up with us. Stand up with us. Let's lock hand in hand and let's walk through the gates of Omaha.
Hey, I love y'all boys. Let's grind every day starting today. Let's do it. Y'all ready? Alert! Alert! Ready! Who's that team ready? Who's that team ready? Yes, sir!
I got one thing to say right here. Cajuns win!
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome in to Raging Review on this beautiful Wednesday evening. I know people in South Louisiana got a little bit of rain today, as did we in Texas a couple days ago. But you know what? Rain just gets all that shawls in the air that make your allergies go crazy. Just kind of washes that away. So it's a good thing. Boys, it's rivalry week. I always had a trouble saying rivalry week. Battle for the paddle. Josh, it's funny we named it Battle for the Paddle, and then before we go on, we're like, why do we even call it that? And the question was, I don't really know. It came up on a meme that somebody posted. I think it was a Southern Miss fan, right? And he said Battle for the Paddle, and I think he meant like a P-Rogue, which would make sense, Josh. P-Rogue, Battle for the Paddle. I love it. Now, I do have a question. You did make a comment. Let's seal this deal before the news guys, get to this. What did that mean?
You know what it means? They steal everything we do.
And don't give us credit.
And never give us credit. At least Will. I saw he commented. But
Will is a man. We love Will. Will helps us out. I like the guy.
But I thought that the Battle for the Paddle was, I think it was 2 years ago, they had a rally paddle in the right field roost. I thought that was the story behind the Battle for the Paddle. So maybe some of our Southern Miss friends that are in the stream tonight can give us a little bit of an explanation. Either way, we got to go with it because we need something. And somehow or another, I'm sure one of us between our fan bases will come up with a trophy or a paddle or an oar or whatever. I mean, hell, I'll make one if we have to.
Yeah, you're Mr. Woodwork now, so you could get going with that, man. You know what's funny is that I write an article earlier in the week, and then Lane comes up with one today, and we are just laying into Southern Miss fans, and we're expecting our fans to kind of get riled up. And on Twitter, they kind of are, but you go on Facebook with a lot of the older fans, and so they read the article and they comment, well, we met some of them at their softball game and they were super nice. And we're like, bro, just hate them for this week, man. Just hate them for a week.
This is why our presence on Facebook is not good.
God, we're just not on the same level there, man.
Well, the boomers don't do sports like we do.
Well, they don't do sports, and you actually have to put your face on the profile and your name. So you can't hide behind the shit talkers that Southern Hattiesburg has. So it's just different. It's a different place. You're going to get, if you want the warm and fuzzies and do those kind of articles, they'll appreciate those. Hub City Showdown is a good one. They stole that. You notice Hattiesburg steals everything from Lafayette. The Hub City, we have Section A, they have Section whatever now. We have the Cooking Club, we have the Roost. Like everything we do, they copy. Have you noticed that?
I'm sure that'll go over well in Hattiesburg.
Well, it's true. I mean, the mayor, what's a mayor going to do? Lock me out instead of giving me the key to the city?
Shout out Toby. That's one of the coolest things is that the mayor of Hattiesburg follows the pod and listens and comments.
That is pretty cool.
Things. If this rivalry doesn't have it all, I mean, even the freaking mayors get involved.
I know. Well, we need our mayor to step up. You went from one mayor who wouldn't get out the news to the other one you never hear from. But anyway, moving right along, boys. Jerry, how are you, man? You ready for rivalry week here?
Excited. I always enjoy playing Southern Miss in just about anything. It kind of riles up our fans. It definitely riles up their fans. So it's going to be a fun weekend. Looking forward to it. Hopefully the weather cooperates because after round one today in Acadiana, I think we're knock on wood. They said there's a low out in the Gulf that may be coming up north, more to the southeastern part of the state and into West Mississippi. So hopefully it doesn't affect our games too much. I know they moved the times around. Southern Miss has their graduation ceremonies this week, so they've kind of adjusted the start times for Friday and Saturday. But hopefully the weather doesn't affect it too much to where we're having odd start times on top of that. Hopefully the weather cooperates a little bit more than what's in the forecast. But,
first of all, they can't even get the freaking weather right. Okay. That's perfect. Hattiesburg, you shit right there. Secondly, how are you going to have graduation on the day you're playing us? I mean, we're not talking about playing West Virginia, Southeast West Virginia State University in a midweek. We're talking about playing us. And you schedule graduation? Y'all don't take this seriously, Josh. They don't take it seriously. If they're scheduling graduation in the middle of when we're supposed to be playing them, slap in the face.
I like the idea of going and ruining their little ceremony. Do they do it on the field like we do?
Oh, I'm sure they copied that. They'll probably be next. They copy everything else we do.
I don't think they do. I think we're one of the only schools that do it.
I think we
at
are.
all.
I'm offended. I'm offended that they don't take it seriously. But I mean, talking about the weather guy, at least you don't have Rob Perillo creaming himself all over freaking social media about how terrible everything's going to be in the HRRR models. You know, it's just so funny. Like, the weather was supposed to be so terrible that they canceled school, but I just got back home from Little League softball. So, you know, Rob, it's a swing and a miss again. It's a swing and a miss, buddy.
Yeah, I was kind of surprised because, like, in those models, they had us getting like 10 inches of rain. And by 2:00 this afternoon, it was sunny outside. So, like, we have all of this hype. And it's just crazy because forecasts change. But, I mean, the way they were talking, you would have thought, you know, we would have to build Noah's Ark to ride around Lafayette. And then by 2:00, it's clear skies and the weather's like in the 70s. I'm like, well, I guess this is a lot better than what was predicted.
The idea that we would close schools in our day because it was supposed to rain the next day is so foreign. It's ridiculous. You know, and here I am. I realize that we're doing 3 minutes on a freaking weather segment, which is ridiculous and shows how boomer we really are. But we would have gone to school, Nick. I mean, damn, I think we were getting let out of school at like the bell time, 2:50 or something during Hurricane Andrew.
Yes, I was going to say, the day before Andrew's going to hit, they were like, well, we haven't made a decision about school tomorrow.
Yeah, I was about to say, like, even
now.
Dude,
there's some rain in the forecast. Everybody stay home.
Dude, like in mid-city New Orleans, there was like the drainage system was so bad. They would have like an inch of rain and like literally it would be up to my ankles walking to my car, hoping that I could actually drive out of the neighborhood. Now you get that and all of school's closed. I mean, they've had to have had 3 or 4 closings, this year alone? Because
8 minutes and 31
in the
seconds,
last
Josh.
2 months.
That's how long it took for New Orleans
under
reference.
9 minutes.
8
under 9 minutes for
and
New
31
Orleans
seconds.
mention.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah,
That
wonderful.
probably is a record.
Lane, sorry, go ahead.
No, I was saying.
Y'all can all kiss my ass.
Lane,
okay?
go ahead. As we were saying, Lane.
I don't even remember what I was saying now.
It rained. It's like that meme where they have the weatherman on Family Guy. It's like, it's gonna rain. Like that's Rob is just so hoping for the weather apocalypse to hit Lafayette one day. He's just so pumped about it. You know, every hurricane's going to be a direct hit on Lafayette, right? Katrina was going to be a direct hit on Lafayette just every time. Anyway, I don't want to bash Rob too much. He is, I guess, a Lafayette legend. He's no Dick Farrow, though. Want to thank our sponsors before we get into it. Award Master, Dr. Brett Venable with Acadiana Chiromed, Lafayette Roofing, and Darren Domingue. Look, now's the time to start evaluating your roof situation. We got hit by something right before Christmas, and it was pretty bad, and we had hail and all that good stuff, and they came and inspected the roof, and unfortunately it wasn't Darren, but my roofing company came out and was like, yeah, you need a new roof. Worked with the insurance and everything. Darren will give you that first-class treatment as well. So just make sure, if anything, you call Darren, ask him to do an evaluation of your roof. He's not going to BS you. He'll tell you whether or not you need one or if they can patch some things up that he sees. So be sure to give Lafayette Roofing a call, as they are very trusted in the Acadiana area. Also, Eat Lafayette. We'll talk about food later. And, of course, Rage and Hydration, which I probably need every Sunday morning after a full weekend of drinking. Boys, let's get into the Southern Miss series that gets kicked off who knows what time, because, like I said, they can't even get the freaking weather right. right in Hattiesburg. So this is no surprise that we're having to move that around. But let me go ahead and pull up what you sent me earlier today, Joshua, and I'll go ahead and let you walk through those stats because you kind of put these together. But let's be honest here, okay? Southern Miss is a damn good baseball team. I don't think anybody on this podcast or anyone who knows college baseball will say we're going to walk in there and sweep the Eags. Not going to happen. And the stats that you see on the screen right now will verify the fact that they, as far as past halfway in the season, would have blown us away. I think the improvements that we've seen the last couple of weeks give me a little more confidence that we can go in there and steal 1 or 2 games. But Josh, let's talk about these stats, especially in the hitting rankings. Pabon, not too good on our end, man.
Yeah, so what I'd like to do, I'd like to take every phase and have a conversation about it. And we'll come to some conclusions as we go through the stats, but I know we all have different opinions, and obviously situational things may impact those opinions. So let's just take it by the numbers because it's baseball, and let's be honest, baseball is a numbers sport. If you look at USM's pitching versus UL's pitching, unfortunately, now look, keep in mind this is for the season, and these are national ranks. I think that it's important to compare our teams in a national way because we both see ourselves as top 30, top 40 programs. So if you look at ERA, USM is a 4.13 ERA, which is good enough for 20th nationally. UL comes in at an even 5, which is good enough for 75th nationally. Our whip, USM's whip is 1.31, good enough for 23rd nationally. UL 1.52, 97th nationally. Hits allowed per 9, 8.32 for USM, 37th nationally. 9.04, not a huge gap there, but about a half, just over a half a hit more per 9 innings. UL is 77th nationally with that number. Ks per 9, USM 9.3, 49th nationally. The Cajuns are 8.1, which is 163rd nationally. We were on a pretty good trajectory there early in the season with our K numbers through 9, but for whatever reason, it's fallen off once we've gotten into conference play. We can kind of talk about that as we go, but I just thought it was something that should be mentioned. Ks versus walk ratio. USM is 2.72, which is 18th nationally, and I think is a really impressive number for their pitching staff. The Cajuns are at 1.75, good enough for 136th nationally. So for every K, you're getting almost 2 walks. That's really not something that we're used to seeing with this pitching staff over the years. So that number is gonna bother a lot of pitching coaches around Acadiana. Walks allowed per 9. That's something that's bothered us a lot. And you compare that with hit batsmen and some errors in the field, and we'll get into that later. But USM has done a pretty good job at 3.42, 20th nationally. The Cajuns 4.63 walks per 9. That's 128th nationally. Hit batsman, USM has 49. The Cajuns almost double that at 74. They didn't have national ranks to compare that to, but I thought it was something that we needed to talk about because obviously free base runners are free base runners, and anybody's free to comment. Those numbers speak for themselves. And there's been so many times throughout the season where we go, where's the weakness? Is it at the dish? And we'll get into hitting later, but there's been a lot of times where pitching has saved us, in particular, starting pitching, in particular in conference play. So some of these national numbers, they take into account the Nebraska series and the San Jose series, and we were figuring things out with the San Jose State series, and we got swept at UC Irvine, who has turned out to be probably a top 15 team. So you can take all that into consideration, and I understand that. The fact of the matter is, if you compare these two teams on the bump, this is where we're at right now, Nick.
Yeah, and I think, again, it's important to just emphasize that, like you said, this is whole season's worth. I think we still have work to do as far as walking batters and hitting batters, but I like what I've seen in our pitching staff. And look, Georgia Southern is not going to bust anybody's door down, right? But I still think they're a solid ball club. They held their own against them. Georgia State, debatable. They're not a terrible team, but they're not in the upper echelon of the Sun Belt. We went in and we kind of flexed our muscles on the mound against them. So I like the fact that we're going in there with confidence. My question to you is, you mentioned something earlier, I think Sunday when we did our wrap-up show, about potentially getting to their bullpen, and that might be a weakness. I'm not seeing that on this chart, but kind of your thoughts on, is their bullpen, is that something we need to do? Because I know we struggle against really good starters, and they've got three, like you said, Colby Allen's a freaking Sunday starter for them. I mean, three really good starters. So obviously we want to get into the bullpen, but just looking at these stats, it doesn't look like their bullpen really bends or breaks much. What are your thoughts there?
Well, to give it a little bit of context, my take is that their bullpen is actually elite. If you look at their starting pitching in conference, I have a note here. Let me see if I can find it. So USM starting pitching has a 3.81 ERA in Sunbelt play. Now, 3.81 is not anything to scoff at, but compared to what they are over the course of the entire season, that's pretty good. And Colby Allen hasn't started a single game this year. He is
and actually,
not this year in conference is what I meant to say.
Yeah, and I was going to say, I thought he was starting on Sundays, but I mean, the fact that he is a bullpen guy is even more ridiculous.
It transforms their bullpen, which is one of the reasons why I think their bullpen is actually more dangerous than their starting pitching. Colby Allen is a top-end guy. You look at his stuff. He actually is 12th nationally in saves with 9 saves. And he was somewhere in the mid-30s in whip as well. So, when you start looking at the numbers, you learn a lot about their bullpen. And to me, their bullpen is what has really carried this team in conference play. And look, also, let's be honest about the Cajuns pitching. We've evolved a lot in our own. You've got, I wanted to say this because this goes with the pitching staff, the pitching staff stats. Since J.R. Tillett took over the Sunday role, which was about 2 weeks into conference play, Cajun starters have a combined 3.06 ERA. And if you look at, what qualifies for a quality start is a three earned runs or less in 7 innings. That's a quality start.
Does that include midweeks? Because if you noticed, and I mean, it's kind of a unique situation with our pitching staff. Let's just say our midweek pitching is very, very, very different than our weekend rotation. I would put our weekend rotation against anybody. I'm kind of curious. And I know these stats don't look too great for us, but I'm curious to see, to your point, Josh, since that JMU series, weekends by themselves, that doesn't include Texas, Rio Grande Valley, that doesn't include the 2 Louisiana Tech games, weekend starts themselves, I'd be curious to see in conference play what our stats look like. Because I think, you look at that 5.0 ERA, that includes, giving up 7 against Southeastern. That includes giving up 16 to Louisiana Tech. That includes giving up 17 to TSAB. I think these numbers aren't great as a whole all year, but man, I'm gonna tell you, the last 3 or 4 weeks, I would say our ERA has been between 2 and 3, somewhere around there.
Right. So, like I said, in conference play since J.R. Tillett took over, it's a 3 ERA. That's in conference play. That doesn't include midweeks at all. That is starting pitching since J.R. Tillett took over in conference play. So it's 3. That's what it is. I don't put a lot of stock into midweek games, especially not at this point in the season. We are still the midweek games are auditions at this point. When you stop worrying about RPI and win-loss record and quad 1 and 2 wins, when you stop worrying about all that, it's almost freeing in a way where you can just run guys out there and see who's ready to play. See who's ready to compete when tournament time comes. So I thought that this was a good way to set it up. And look, USM has had some stinkers in there in the midweek as well. So you got to keep that in mind too. To have a team ERA at 4.13 with their strength of schedule is pretty salty, man. And I would say that Colby Allen's probably their second best pitcher stuff wise, and he doesn't start for them. He's a long inning guy. He's a late inning guy. If you really look at who they have to offer in a starting rotation and then the guys that come in behind them, whether the starters worked out or not, they run 8, 9, maybe 10 pitchers deep that you can run out there in a conference game or in a conference tournament situation.
I think the key in the bullpen will actually be, well, not necessarily the bullpen. I think just in general, pitching for us will have to, we will have to get deep into games with our starters, because if we can preserve a Tate Hess to only throw a couple innings or a Holtzhammer to only throw a couple innings and then have them available for Sunday and a full bullpen for Sunday, I think that puts us in a really good position to, again, steal 1 or 2 games in Hattiesburg. Now, if, we talked about SEMO has had some soreness and some issues throughout the season, and will he be able to hold up, on Friday night? That's our hope. But you alluded to like having guys step up, having guys just be a dude on the team. And this weekend, that's especially important. We need that SEMO attitude we have had a couple of weeks, not just from SEMO. We need it from the entire team. And I think it starts with the bullpen. I think those guys need to come out, go deep into the game. They got to preserve our bullpen. After that, guys who come in have to get the job done. Because when you think about the tools that we have there and the arms that we have, we can really piece it together over a 3-game series. Like you said, Jerry, it's really in midweeks that we get in trouble, but we can't go into Saturday and be on our 7th pitcher. We gotta preserve that bullpen as best we can to have any success this weekend.
I would say from our perspective, I think you've got about 4 arms in the pen that you truly trust. If you can keep Holzhammer's pitch count down, you think, like I call him Mr. 6 out because he's phenomenal for 6 outs. I really trust him in a sticky situation. I don't think there's anybody else in the bullpen that I would go get and throw into the fire before I'd go get Holzhammer. Hey, Tate Hesse has had some ups and downs, but in conference play has been really good. Elevated strikeout numbers, walks are down. Really like what Tate Hesse has been able to do lately. You look at Riley Marcotte, he's got a sub-1 whip in his last 6 outings. And I'm not 100% sure what's going on with Riley. I don't know if he's injured, but we haven't seen a whole lot of him. Sub-1 whip in conference play is something that raises your eyebrows. That's somebody you can rely on, again, in a postseason type situation or in a big series. So those are 3. Matt Osteen. I don't know if Matt Osteen's hurt. We haven't seen very much of Matt Osteen. There's some guys that have shown some grit in some very important situations. If we can go 5 or 6 with our starters, it would be really great if we can use those guys the way that they are most efficiently used. And I think that's between 2 and 3 innings, not having to run 4 pitchers out there in a game to close the game. Southern Miss definitely has the advantage there with the bullpen. So I think one of the keys to our pitching is going to be, are we going to be able to get to the bullpen in a timely manner? Are they going to have to come in 3rd or 4th inning? Or, if we can get Herm into the 5th and 6th, if we can get Chase into the 7th, if we can get J.R. Tillett, which, by the way, has been excellent at eating innings on Sunday. If we can get those guys into the latter half of the game, we will definitely benefit as a bullpen from managing games properly. And I think that that's really the only way that we can compete this weekend. The pitching has got to be on time.
Yeah, totally agree. And before you go, Jerry, I just wanted to mention the reason you haven't seen Osteen, we haven't needed him on Sunday because 6 Flags Over Jesus only comes out on Sundays, right? So makes sense. Sorry, Jerry, had to throw that in there.
I was going to say that with SEMO, outside of Georgia Southern, the game, I think it was against ODU in this past week, his pitch count's gotten up in the first 3 or 4 innings. I think this Friday, it's going to be very important to make sure his pitch count is around 40 or so by maybe the 4th or 5th inning. If he can do that, to your point, Josh, to get up to the 7th, that gives us a chance. I think the main concern for me this weekend, besides the bullpen, is how patient is Southern Miss at the plate? Because I've noticed usually because the pitch count's going up, it's not because teams are foul tipping against us. They're very, very patient. A lot of times where we've struggled this year, where pitchers have gotten pitch count, is it's either when the strike zone's really tight or opponents aren't taking anything at the plate. They're just not swinging. So knowing that Southern Miss can hit the baseball, I'm really curious to see if they're going to be aggressive, because they can hit, they chase sometimes, or are they going to be patient and try to get our guys' pitch count up? That's a matchup I'm looking to see with our starters, or our starting pitchers on the bump.
Well, we're going to learn about their offense in just a second, but I'm just here to tell you, these are not 2 juggernaut offenses. Southern Miss walks, but they don't walk a whole lot. They're about middle of the pack in D1 baseball. So I got to tell you, again, like I said last week or earlier this week, I know Chase had a little pain and hopefully he's dealt with it, but I am going to make a bold prediction, and you can put this on tape for the USM fans that are here. And thank you for being here and watching the show. We appreciate you. But I think you're going to see peak SEMO this weekend. I think Chase Morgan turns in his outing of the season on Friday, because I think competitors like Chase Morgan relish these opportunities. And if all is well and all things are equal and he's not injured and he's not powering through anything that's more serious, obviously, I think Chase Morgan will be as sharp as you've seen him this year.
I think we'll know that within the first couple of innings and how his presence is on the mound. But
great point. And one of his bugaboos has been in his career first inning jitters.
Correct.
If he gets out of the first inning, you may as well pack it up. It's not going to be a fun night for you.
We had another starter who did that. Who was that? I can't remember who it was, but first inning, man, he just couldn't get out of the first inning. Like if you were going to get to him, I'm going to think of his name. I'm picturing him in my head, but
how long
can't think
ago?
of his.
How long
it was
ago?
A few years ago. I'll think about it in a bit. But that was
Connor Cook.
No, it wasn't Connor Cook. But I'll think of it. But Carson
Fluno.
Baronic.
Baronic. It was Baronic. If you got to Baronic, it would be in his first inning of pitching. Yep. Moving on to hitting, I think that was a good segue into hitting. So, guys, let's talk about this. Josh, as you alluded to, they're not gonna. We have kind of. I don't know. I'm not going to get into it. I'll let you lead this. I'll just say, as far as hitting for power and home runs, and I don't know if it's the ballpark they play in, because I haven't looked at those dimensions, but 80 home runs versus 39, they like to hit for power. But relatively even, I know they're slugging a lot better than we are, but when you look at the on-base percentage, I mean, we're relatively close. Talk about what you see with Southern Miss and Louisiana as far as offense going into this weekend.
By the numbers, the only real advantage that we have is in the run game. One of the oddest stats you'll find is Southern Miss has attempted 14 stolen bases this entire season, and they've been caught 9 times. They are 299th in D1 baseball, or as we call it, DFL, dead effing last in stolen bases. So even that number is kind of deceiving. We've stolen 88 and we've been caught 27, and that's 52nd nationally. I would not say that our run game is elite in any way. I wouldn't say it's good in any way. I think it's very pedestrian. Buzzard Ball checks in. PTP has the lowest part correction factor. It was 87. Look, they're going to hit at the Pete. That's what they do. Their good offense is kind of predicated upon playing at home. If you look at their splits, they hit like 80 points above their average at the Pete. Their power numbers go up. Their slug goes up. And they just love playing in front of their home fans. They're a good home team. They're 22-5 at home. I mean, that kind of tells the story. But I'm just going to tell you, and for all the Cajun fans watching, I don't think any of this is going to be news to you. We're looking at a historically bad Cajun offense. It's one of the worst Cajun offenses we've seen in 10 years. It's probably the worst Matt Deggs offense that he's maybe ever had. If you look at the hitting comparison, team batting average is 299 for Southern Miss. That's 52nd nationally. 262 for the Cajuns. 262. That's 239th nationally. I know batting average isn't anything in today's analytics, but that's really bad. For the guru. For the guru, that's real bad. Team on base percentage. Southern Miss is not exponentially great. I mean, they're 392. It's 118th nationally. The Cajuns are 363, and that's good enough for 243rd nationally. Team slug. This is where Southern Miss kind of really takes off with their offense. They hit 510 as a team. That's 31st nationally. The Cajuns are stuck down at 396, which is 236th nationally. And if we're going to do anything this weekend, boys, I mean, let's just be honest. We're going to have to get some total bases. We're going to have to put the balls in the gap and hit the ball over the fence. And yes, it kind of is a hitter's park. Okay. It kind of is a hitter's park. And then we went up to Atlanta and we showed we can hit in a hitter's park. Here's the thing. Southern Miss's pitching staff is not Georgia State's pitching staff. So we're gonna find out a little bit about our offense. I think that we're better than these numbers tell the story of. I think we've improved a bit. I think we've kind of found some consistency. So maybe we go out and surprise some people. But just to say by the numbers, this is where we are. Walks per 9. USM, like I mentioned, they're 177th in the country at 4.14. Cajuns are 228th nationally. 3.75. So less than 4 walks a game. You'd like to see that elevated. More than 4 is kind of the goal. Doubles. USM 93. That's 79th in the country. Cajun 76, 202nd. Triples 7 for USM. Cajuns actually got them there. We have 11 triples, and that's 95th nationally. USM comes in at 225th. Home runs. Nick mentioned it. They have 80. A lot of that has to do with the Pete, 19th nationally. The Cajuns are almost, I mean, not almost, they're less than half at 39, 197th nationally. Runs a game. The Eags are almost at 7 at 6.9 nationally, 129th. The Cajuns are at 5.7, 251st nationally. And we talked about the stolen bases and caught stealing. So offensively, there's not really a whole lot to be upbeat about if you look at the entire picture of the season. And I'm a law of averages guy. I think big numbers tell the story more than anything. I will say in conference there's been an uptick. And since Matt Deggs decided to stop playing Russian roulette with the lineup, it gets better. Since we've seen some consistency, the top of the lineup has been on base more. You see their OPB has gone up. I think the middle of the lineup has produced more. You see Donkey hit 3 home runs last weekend. That gives you some hope. Again, Hitters Park. We got some USM fans saying it's not a Hitters Park. Compared to the Teague, Southern Miss and PTP is absolutely a Hitters Park. I'm sorry, guys. I mean, the Teague sets up like Montgomery sets up. That is a pitcher's park. When you go play in Hattiesburg, that's a hitter's park compared to the Teague. That's a fact.
And I'll give you some reasons why. Short right field fence, that's shorter than average. Batter's eye is what I found when I'm looking at this. Or I did ask AI, didn't give me a whole lot, but I did look up some articles, and they were saying it's got one of the best best batter's eye in college baseball, where you can really see the ball there. And then it's just not, maybe it's not as humid. I don't know, but you can hit the ball in the gap and run for a while in Pete Taylor Park.
And it feels like every time we go there, the wind's blowing out.
I know.
And the wind never blows out in Lafayette. So
it doesn't.
But you got to remember the layout of the field. So our baseball, like the Teague faces south and the Pete faces north. So based on the wind direction, that probably plays a big factor in it as well.
So based on our experience with anything, as far as that is a hitter's ballpark to us, man, because nothing goes out in the tee. You really got to crank one to get out of there, right?
Especially a center field, man.
I'm not saying your center field batter's eye. I'm just saying they're saying that it's a good batter's eye. Never mind. I'm not going to get into it.
Zookeeper wants to know what their catcher's pop time. I don't know exactly what it is, but it's not Torres's, which is like 0.98. It's good. Torres is actually putting together a really nice conference defensive season, and that should be mentioned. You go out, if you look and dig into the conference stats, he's one of the lowest in pass balls. He's really handled himself, one of the best in putouts, and Torres has been very solid behind the plate his entire career, but really stepped it up in conference play in 2025. So I think that's something that needs to be mentioned. I know it's not maybe your traditional hitter's park, but the Pete is definitely a hitter's park compared to where we hit, but just, that's a fact. I mean, that's not even anything we can debate.
There you go. Speaking of aggressiveness, speaking of consistency, I think we're going to have to guys step up in clutch situations to extend innings. We cannot get into situations like we even faced last weekend and the weekend before. Even though we had, we won 5 out of 6, you're in situations where you got runners at second and third, nobody out, and you don't score a run. We cannot have that type of weekend against a team like Southern Miss. And we also can't have a weekend where we get guys on base, because obviously we're very aggressive, much more aggressive on the base paths than Hattiesburg is. And you can't make these base running errors where you're trying to steal second and third for no reason when you're up 3-0 in the top of the 4th. Like, you can't put yourself in those situations like we are known to do against a team like Southern Miss. You can play around with a team like Georgia State or Georgia Southern even, or a Texas State, but you can't do that against a good Eagle squad this weekend. So I think the key offensively is, one, patience at the plate, which we're not going to do. I will inevitably be upset by some decisions made at the plate this weekend. I will be upset at some decisions made on the base pass this weekend, but we just can't, that's the kind of stuff we have got to stop doing if we're going to play teams like a ranked Southern Miss, or like you saw what happened when we played Troy. They were ranked. See what happens when we play other really good teams. We get our asses kicked. We cannot do that this weekend, Jerry.
Well, you can't do stuff like that that's going to separate you from a win from a loss. you can't do something where you try to steal second and third and it's a 1-run game and the next batter comes up and gets a base hit that costs you a possible 2 runs, right? Against a team like Southern Miss, the margin of error is extremely narrow, especially by the way we've played this season. Now, the good news is that in the last 10 games, we're 8-2. We're starting to kind of find our niche. We're starting to play better baseball, but you're facing a team that a Southern Miss team that is, to me, they're top 25. They're top 25 material, and they've beaten some good opponents this year, and they're full of talent, and you cannot make boneheaded mistakes against teams with that type of talent. And so this is going to be one of those weekends where we have to be very, very careful on the decisions we make when it comes to base running, and we can't leave runs off the board, and you got to get the timely hit. I mean, the timely hits against a team like this are so important because, looking at these stats for Southern Miss, especially their batting stats, they can score 4 or 5 runs at a time and not blink. So no, we just have to take every opportunity and not try to waste any against a team like this, especially on the road over there. I know some of their fans are saying it's not a hitter's ballpark, but they know how to hit in that baseball stadium. They know how to hit. They know where to put the ball and place the ball and score runs. And, we have to be able to capitalize and be able to not make boneheaded mistakes that's going to cost us. Margin of error is very thin.
I was going to say, historically, we've hit very well there as well. But what I will say that impresses me about Hattiesburg is that their clutch hitting is, and you see it in the slugging percentage, their clutch hitting is amazing. When they have to have somebody come up and deliver at the right moment, at the right point of the ball game, they do it. And that's 1 through 9. There's not one guy that I can point to on that lineup that you look at, which has been consistent, by the way, that you look at and say, oh, this is going to be an easy out. Like, those guys battle from 1 to 9. That, and then you turn around and you look at how we sometimes press a little bit at the plate, first strike swinging, first pitch swinging, bad strikeouts in bad situations, not clutch when we have guys in scoring position and nobody out. That's where I think we have got to execute better this weekend, is in clutch situations, because you have a feeling they will. They're going to be pumped up. And will we be pumped up for this game, this series? This is what I'm trying to figure out, because you don't know what team you're getting from game to game or weekend to weekend.
And look, not only is their slugging percentage very impressive, they don't steal bases. So they don't have to steal bases. They don't have to get crazy on the base paths. They just hit.
Because they slow.
They just hit, and it's worked out for them pretty well this year. So, yeah, I mean, we're a little bit of the opposite. We have to be a little more creative on the base paths. It's just a matter of making sure we don't overthink it, and outcoach ourselves. As I've always said, when we make boneheaded mistakes in any sport, you don't want the coach out coaching himself. That can cost us runs and possibly the game.
Can I say something? And I'm interested in what Lane thinks. He hasn't had much time to say.
I know, poor Lane.
Here's the thing, dude. Look, here's the thing. This season, I'm talking about this season, we have a little bit of Stockholm syndrome, fellas. We have watched bad baseball, and y'all can get mad at me for saying it, and our fans can get mad at me. We have watched very bad baseball. We have watched bad base running. We have watched bad coaching. We have watched horrible decision-making. We have watched older guys doing things like running when the ball's hit in front of them and then telling the coach, oh, I didn't see it in front of me. Just stupidity. We have seen stupidity. We have seen pressing. We have seen young guys that have had to get acclimated to the game. We have seen some very, very bad baseball. So anytime we look, and if we can throw those stats back up there for just a second, anytime we look at stats that even remotely make sense, we go, oh, that's a good baseball team. Oh, man, we just can't compete. I'm going to just tell you right now, this is a team right here. If you look at this by the numbers, and especially if you look at their conference numbers, I didn't have enough room to put conference numbers. The conference numbers aren't that great. I know they're 18-6. A lot of that is pitching, and they've been really, really good at home, and I'm not taking anything away from the Southern Miss Golden Eagles. I think they're a good baseball team. But if you think that this team is not gettable, you're wrong. We have such a low opinion of ourselves that we can't look at raw data and decipher it into what it is. This is a team, and we'll go into fielding. This is a team that's kicked the ball around. This is a team that's prone to mistakes. Yeah, I know they have a good, strong outfield, and they have good, strong arms back there, and they hold base runners accountable, and they have their assist numbers are actually pretty elevated, and that's impressive. But this is no juggernaut defensive team. This is not a team who lays down sack bunts. This is not a team that plays station-to-station baseball. This is not a team that's looking to play traditional style baseball. It's not. This is a team that relies heavily on their Friday guy, and then they pitch off and play off of what happens on Friday. And it just so happens that in this particular season, they've been excellent at home. And they have some very nice wins, and we're going to get into their strength of schedule and all their nice wins. But we got to remember that we can still play too. I know our numbers are not nice. They're bad, actually. They're really bad. This is a historically bad offense. I've already said it. I think this is one of the most disappointing Degs teams I've ever seen. It's bad. It's not fun to watch. But this USM team is not unbeatable. They're not. Even at home, they're not unbeatable. 22-5 speaks for itself. I get it. But by the numbers, especially in conference play, they are not unbeatable. Starting pitching has been worse in conference play. Fielding percentage is pretty static. If you can get to them and we can play our game where we're chaotic and we get our starters into the 6th and 7th, this is going to be real baseball, and still, it's still the Cajuns walking into the Pete. People are going to be on pins and needles. That's how it goes. That's why this rivalry is so good. So the idea that we're just like out of it, I'm not buying that. This is a good team. It's a good team, but they are certainly susceptible.
I want to hear Lane's thoughts, and I want to say something about that, if that's cool. Lane, go ahead, man.
Yeah, I think on paper, it looks like they would sweep us and maybe run rules, but that's just by looking at the numbers. I've seen us play better, especially in conference, and I don't think that'll happen. I think our starting pitching has stepped up a lot, especially the last month or so, I guess. But yes, we are going into a hostile environment, but like I mentioned in the article earlier today, it's no Teague. I mean, yes, they can get rowdy, but we're there to win games, and we've shown we can win there at times. So I'm looking forward to seeing how the guys perform, how the bullpen steps up and sets up, because we don't want to waste our bullpen, like you said, on Friday or early Saturday. But I'm looking forward to a great matchup between two really good teams and a strong rivalry for sure.
I think CDS is kind of playing in here a little bit, because I don't know. I'm not sure when it comes to this team how we respond to adversity as well against an opponent like Southern Miss. Now, Josh, to your point, maybe the stats don't look as sexy for Southern Miss, but at the end of the day, there's still a strong 2 seed in a regional if regionals were picked today. Okay, so my biggest concern is which of our team shows up. Is our team over the last 10 games what showed up to Atlanta last week shows up, or I'll even go a step further. I'll say ODU, right? We're 17-22. We go to ODU. We're down 4 runs, and we come back and find a way to win on Friday night, and then we take the series and we run rule them. Should have won the game, the Thursday night. Should have won the game Friday. Took the series. Same thing with Georgia Southern. Should have swept. Last week we sweep. But what happens if we get behind by 3 or 4 runs this weekend? How do we respond? That's a question I don't know.
We cannot win if you get behind 4 runs. And it will never happen.
So that's my point. So that's the concern I have going into this weekend, because Southern Miss is better than all 3 of those teams we have faced in the last 3 weeks. I mean, they are a good baseball team. So I guess that's kind of the concern I have, is how do we respond? And I don't know if we play like we did last weekend in Atlanta. And I know obviously Southern Miss is better than Georgia State, but to go on the road and dominate all 3 games, this is going to be a very good series. I just don't know if we let Southern Miss get ahead by 2 or 3 runs or 4 runs, how we respond. as good as we've been playing the last 10 games, I'm still skeptical of it. I'm not sure.
I will say this.
We're going to see.
They did get run ruled by Georgia State.
And they haven't lost a game since.
No matter how you look at it. I mean, we swept Georgia State. They got run ruled.
But they haven't lost a game since. They're what? They've won 9 straight since then. And they've won 9 straight. I mean, most of those games have been fairly close, but every single one of those games they've hit the ball pretty well. So I don't know. I'm not sure.
Here's my question to you guys. Are they better than DBU? Are they better than UC Irvine? I don't think they're better than UC Irvine. We can argue about, are they better than DBU? Are they better than Troy? You know,
I'd say they're about the same. Irvine's probably going to host a regional this year. Like, they're in the top 10 right now in some of those top 25 polls. So they were a lot better than what we saw the first couple weeks. I'm just concerned personally on how we respond. That's where I'm just kind of wondering, if we get behind so many runs, are we going to be able to respond and come back? I just don't know. I don't know.
Well, first of all, Southern Miss, if Southern Miss beats us, wins their final series, and then wins the Sun Belt, they're going to host a regional. Does everybody understands that, right?
Is who? I'm sorry, you said
Southern Miss. If they beat us in a series, win their final series at home, or win their final series in the Sun Belt, and then wins the Sun Belt Conference,
and then yes,
they will absolutely be hosting a series.
They're definitely on. Yeah, they're definitely be on the line. Yeah, for sure.
They're not going to be on the line. They will host a regional. They will be within 15 losses. They will have 15 or less losses. They will have won a top 6 RPI conference, and they have all the history. They will host we don't think we will host. Yeah, you don't, but you're not talking about this. If you take 2 or 3 from the Cajuns and you take 2 or 3 from your final, and then you walk through the Sun Belt Conference tournament with 1 loss, and you're sitting there with 15 losses and a Sun Belt Conference tournament win, you will host. You absolutely will.
I don't think they can take a loss or 2, honestly. I mean, they're that if they take
their RPI will be in the top 20s at that point. They will have had to beat Coastal once or twice. They will absolutely host.
That's what I was going to say. It'll be between them or Coastal if they play them. Yeah,
I think they will. Hands down, going to be a host regardless.
So Coastal's probably going to host. Yeah.
So they're playing for a whole lot. Now, do I think they're better than DBU? It doesn't matter. Do I think they're better than UC Irvine? None of that matters. We played those games so long ago, none of us are the same team.
Good point. Yep.
USM very well might be better than USM and UC Irvine. UC Irvine played in a kind of, unfortunately, the West Coast Conference wasn't as good this year. They ran away with it.
Plus, they get the home cooking over there. Holy cow.
Oh, my God. They hated us. But UC Irvine has a great chance to host, but none of that matters, especially when Louisiana comes to town. This is a completely different, it is its own series. Matt Deggs is going to coach to win Friday, and then he's going to figure it out to win Saturday, and then he's going to figure it out. None of the other stuff matters. Now, we're talking about stats because we're trying to, figure out among fans, what we think and how we think it's going to play out. But none of it really matters. The fact of the matter is that the Eagles are a better baseball team over the course of a season. They're at home. They're playing for a ton. And right now, we're playing for our conference lives. You put those two things together, those are desperation type teams. You never know what's going to happen. So, look, like I said, that's funny. Like I said, they are a very good home team. And that's really what we need to worry about. We need to worry about the fact that they play really well at their home park and they pitch really well on Friday. And if you go back, JB Middleton is top 12 nationally in about 7 categories, a couple of which are innings pitched, ERA, whip, strikeouts. I mean, that guy, he's going to be a tone setter for Southern Miss. If we can find a way to get into JB in his head and we can figure out a way to get to him, get through him, get to their bullpen early and start chipping away at those arms, now you have a totally different series. And I would say the same thing about them. If they can break through with Chase Morgan on Friday and start making us use arms and throw pitches, well, we don't have much of a chance because the Eagles, this is really what it boils down to. The Eagles have many ways they can win this series. They can beat us 3 times, many ways. The Cajuns have one way. We have one way to win this series, and that's by getting excellent, not good, excellent starting pitching, being on time in the bullpen, and our older guys getting clutch hits. Runners in scoring position, 2 outs. That's the only way we can win this series. I'm not saying it can't happen. It's baseball. But I am saying the Eagles have a much larger margin for error. We have zero. We have zero margin for error. We can't get on the field and start kicking the ball around. We can't make boneheaded plays in the infield when literally nothing else is going our way. Like, we have to set the tone early. We got to go in there. We got to have energy, play with emotion. That we haven't seen a whole lot of that, Nick. We haven't seen a whole lot of that, Jerry. I mean, Lane, you tell me, have you seen the dugout jumping a lot often?
I've seen it from individual players, but I've not, and they're mostly pitchers.
But this is why Chase Morgan is so important, because you've seen him take on more of a leadership role in this season. You've seen him take on more of an emotional leadership role. The guys play behind him because they know what he brings to the table when he steps on the mound. We have to take that energy. We have to find a way to harness that and use it to our advantage. If we go in Friday and we find a way to win, or we even make it close and put some doubt into that team, things are going to change dramatically this weekend.
And I'll start with you, Lane, because I've kind of left you out of most of the conversation tonight. My bad. Who are the two players for you that have to step up this weekend for us to be successful? One pitcher and one position player. My two are, I need to see Simo have a solid outing game one. That's what we need. Like you said, Josh, he's got to get off to a good start. He's got to get this weekend off to a good start for us. Number two, I need to see Lee Amadei be Lee Amadei of the Texas Regional, A&M Regional. I need to see him in the clutch situations and getting that double, because the guy's got a lot of doubles this season. He needs to get him in clutch situations. He can't strike out. He can't pop up if he tries to lay down a bunt, try to lay down a bunt and pop it up. I think I need Lee to step up this weekend, because you got to figure Connor Higgs is going to be there. Jose is going to be pumped up, but I got to see something out of Lee Amadei this weekend if we're going to be successful. And of course, as I said, Simo, Lane, who's your pitcher and position player you got to see something out of this weekend?
So I definitely want to see something out of Luke Uhas. I mean, he had a great weekend last weekend, but it was against a poor pitching team. So I'm looking forward to seeing what he can do this weekend, and hopefully he drops a couple more bombs on Southern Miss like he did a couple years ago, or last year. But the pitcher that I'm most looking forward to seeing how they perform is actually Tate Hess. We need to see him continue what he's been doing lately, coming out of the bullpen. Because I feel like if he can go 5-6 innings, that sets up perfectly for us, even coming right after us, one of the starters. But yeah, that's who I'm picking as the two guys that need to show what they got.
Jerry, what you got?
I mean, I was gonna say Lee. He not just with his bat, but at third base, because they hit the ball well. Because of his fielding. I'll give a different answer. I want to see Owen Galt step up, the freshman. I want to see what he can do at the plate. I know he's still trying to figure out his identity as a true freshman hitting the baseball, but I think he's got a lot of potential. I think this is a golden opportunity for him against a very good opponent to make a difference in the lineup. I also want to see him play well in the field. Like I said, Southern Miss puts the ball in play. We're going to need some grade A fielding. And so I want to see what OG can do in the field. My second guy pitching wise is actually, I want to see what Andrew Herman can do on Saturday. I have faith that Simo, as long as he keeps his pitch counts down, he can give us a chance to win on Friday night. But I think it really depends on the rest of the weekend on Saturday. And I think that starts with Andrew Herman. He's had some really, really good outings the last couple of weeks, especially since he's been back from his injury. He's been able to not give up any crazy runs. He's given up a few hits here and there, but I think with him, along with if Tate Hess can come in and do what he's doing, I think that can really make a difference. So, I like Owen Galt. I want to see what Owen Galt can do. This is going to be his first really, really major challenge in a weekend series as a freshman. And then also Andrew Herman.
All right, Josh, I'll let you wrap it up. Your thoughts. Who are your two? Jerry gave us about 15 people, but go ahead and give us your two players that you want to see be successful this weekend.
What OG does at the plate is kind of lanyap, and y'all know I love Owen Galt. What he does at the plate is lanyap. What Owen Galt needs to do in the field is not make errors. He leads the team with 14 errors. Look, it's time. Now's the time. Lights coming on. We're going into postseason play. Now is the time. You can't make errors. The errors have got to cease in the infield this weekend if we want to win. So what Owen Galt does at the plate is it's a cherry on top. Don't make errors. For me, the pitching is the series. If you're going to make a statement and make a run, this is the series. Your best has got to be its best, and Chase Morgan's got to set the tone. Chase Morgan is going up against a guy that has insane numbers. I just mentioned him, JB Middleton. He has got to be better than him on Friday. He just does. If we're going to win the series, he has to be better than him. If we're going to go into the Sun Belt tournament and win the Sun Belt tournament, Chase Morgan has got to be the guy. He's the linchpin. So Chase Morgan has got to step up and be absolutely filthy. He's got to be the Chase Morgan that we know he can. He has to be the All-American. The hitter for me has got to be Maddox Madman Mandino. When Maddox Mandino is causing havoc and creating chaos, we score runs. Since he's been at the top of the lineup, in the top 3 of the lineup, the offense is scoring almost 1.5 more runs per game. We need him to be up there, get a hit by pitch, get a walk, get a base hit, whatever it takes. Put down a bunt, get on base, get in heads of pitchers. We've got to get the top of the order on base, and then we got to get the older guys to drive him in. I think Maddox Mandino is the engine of the offense this weekend. If we see him putting on the clinic that we know he can, I have a whole lot of faith that we can score runs on this team.
Then somebody mentioned Andrew Herman. Was that you, Jerry? I think you mentioned Andrew Herman in your take. I spoke to him this morning, by the way. Actually had a call with him earlier today. He said we're the best Ragin' Cajuns coverage in all of Acadiana. I'm kidding. He didn't say that. I did give him shit and saying, hey, they're, the fact that we're talking might be illegal, but no, he was super cool. And I told him if he didn't win, then we can't talk anymore. So hopefully Andrew Herman comes through on Saturday. I think the boys will be ready. And like you said, Josh, it's Stockholm syndrome. Like it's like getting bit by a dog and then being scared of all dogs, man.
Our confidence is in the tank, dude.
We've
been watching terrible baseball. I'll give you a quick example and I'll let you go. I watched the Coastal and Clemson game. The Coastal Clemson game last night. By the way, broadcast was phenomenal. Coastal is great. A real team. They have the best bullpen they've had in 10 years. They are a menace in this league. It was such good college baseball. Everything was crisp. The umpire was good. The crowd was amazing. The field was
Wait.
nice.
You said the umpire was good. You were shit talking the umpire last night in the game. You said Sunbelt umpires are crap.
That wasn't me. I didn't say that. That guy was good. I'm telling you right now, he was good. I was commenting.
I thought it was you. I swear to God, I thought it was you.
No artificial surface. It was a natural surface. It was just really good, clean college baseball. I watched that and I said to myself, I've been watching such horrible baseball with such bad umpiring and such bad game management and all this stuff, bad coaching. I forgot what good college baseball looked like, and it was great to watch two good teams play. So when I built in my opinion today, I thought, maybe we're just so used to seeing bad baseball, we just think we can't compete, and that's just not true.
All right, boys. Before we close this segment out and move on, I mean, we don't have a whole lot to talk about, but I do want to get into the Sun Belt Conference Tournament and just give an outline of where we're going with that. I'll start with you, Jerry. Your thoughts on what the Cajuns do this weekend? Will we go 3-0, 2-1, 1-2, or get swept against the Mississippi Hattiesburg Eagles? What are your thoughts about this weekend?
I think now we're not. I don't like to think ahead, but I kind of have to think ahead because I want to see where we are going into. You've got a really, really tough outing this week, but you're 8-2 in the last 10 games, and I think if we could go in here this weekend and compete, even if we lose, like I just want to make sure that we lost knowing that we competed to the final out. No crazy errors, no crazy strikeouts with the bat on our shoulders with the bases loaded, no hit batsmen. If we can go toe-to-toe with this team and they beat us with a walk-off or they had to grind to beat us, like as much as I would hate it, at least I know we can compete. And to Josh's point about the Stockholm Syndrome, that'll tell me we belong on the field with them, which I still think we do. I just don't know which team's going to show up. If the team that shows up to Atlanta shows up this weekend, I like our chances. Honestly, I'm going to be real. Look, if we can find a way to take 2 out of 3, that would be immaculate. I do think we take one. I do think we take at least one. I think Southern Miss is going to win the series 2 out of 3, but I do think we take one, and I do think we're competitive in all 3. The way I'm looking at it is I want this team, no matter what happens, to at least put forth 100% effort, don't make goofy mistakes, and know that they belong on the same field with this team. So after this weekend, you come back home for the finale against Arkansas State, you take care of business, and you're ready and poised going to Montgomery. Whatever it takes to be poised to go to Montgomery in these final 2 weeks, I don't care what it looks like this weekend. I just want this to be a step to get ready for the Sun Belt Conference tournament. So but I do think Southern Miss, I think we take one. I think Southern Miss takes it 2 out of 3.
All right, Lane, what are you thinking about this weekend?
I think it can be a really good series between two good teams. I think we steal a game on Friday, like a close game, 5-4, 4-3 type of game with Chase Morgan on the mound. And then we either take the Saturday game or the Sunday game. So I'd say we go 2-1 on the weekend.
Josh, before I get to you, I'm going to say I agree with Lane. I think we win Friday and we find a way to win Sunday, man. I don't know. I feel like it's time. You know, again, we've seen some bad baseball this season, but there's something that Deggs does at some point in every season that we just turn it around and start playing like we expect. Hopefully it's this weekend. Hopefully we saw signs of that in the last couple of weeks. Give me your thoughts. What do you think we do this weekend?
I think this team has been beat up on. I think this team has had their confidence ran through the sewer. I think this team has not been allowed to settle into their most efficient use, whether it be in the infield, the outfield, or in the lineup. I think this team has not been properly coached. I'll say it. I think this is Matt Deggs' worst coaching performance in his career, if not in his career at this school. It's been one of the worst. I completely disagree with 75% of the things he's done this season. I think that you've seen the lineup start to have some consistency over a 6-game period, and just look at what's happened. I think that this team, I've seen this team belong on the field with DBU, UC Irvine, Nebraska. I can go down the list. I have seen this team belong. What I haven't seen is just that one piece to step up and get us over the hump in multiple situations, multiple occasions. I think that the stars on this team are done with that. I think that Friday night, Chase Morgan is going to come out and show you why he's an All-American. I think the Cajuns are going to take a 3-1 or 3-2 win Friday night in Hattiesburg. I think that Andrew Herman has been disrespected a lot halfway through this season, and I think that Andrew Herman is as healthy as he's ever been. And I say that because his velo is touching 88 at this point in his career. And if you take that sinker and that slider with an 88-mile-an-hour fastball, there's not a whole lot of teams in this D1 baseball that can hit that guy. I think the Cajuns win Saturday. And I think the Cajuns go into Sunday looking for a sweep. And
Holy
all
shit,
of you
man.
know,
That'd be amazing.
All of you know, I would never say that if I didn't really believe it. All of you understand that I always come on here and pick us to lose because I look at the numbers and I don't love the way we're coached, and I'm always honest. I am telling you that these are inflated numbers. I think Southern Miss has not played well in conference. I understand what their record is. I understand what they do at the Pete, but I understand that trends matter. And I understand that they've won 9 in a row, but I know what we're doing right now. And I think that we are a dangerous team because of the position and because of the struggles we've dealt with. Just got
yes.
That's funny. I am telling you right now, it's going to be 3-1, 3-2 on Friday. I think Chase has the potential to go the distance if he can keep his pitch count down in the first 3 innings. I think if you can hold Hammer off until Saturday, Herman will win on Saturday. And I think J.R. Tillett has been just what the doctor ordered on Sunday. And Southern Miss does not play well on Sunday, boys. I'm just telling y'all, I think we go into Sunday with a chance to sweep. And look, if y'all don't watch the show very often, I'm the one that always gets fussed at for being too negative.
All I'm gonna say about that is Cloverleaf Mall is licking his chops.
I just said, go ahead and snip it, bro.
Hey, record it, mark it down on the minute frame or whatever. He is licking his chops.
I'm happy to do it. Said. Look, all I'm doing is being honest. I'm telling you right now that the starting pitching that this team has put out regularly has been even better, with the exception of maybe JB. with the exception of maybe JB and a couple other arms, this has been a better starting rotation in the last month to 6 weeks. It is. And they're going to give us a chance to compete. And I think if you deal with the law of averages, if you deal with the law of averages in large numbers, I am telling you guys right now, we are due. Southern Miss is not due. I know they hit well at home. I understand that, but they are not due. We are. And I think that if you can get those boys' minds spinning, I think that this is an opportunity for us to go in there and make some noise. I just believe it. I'm sorry. If we don't kick the ball around, I think we're poised to play well.
Look, if what you said comes true this weekend, I have no doubt in my mind that we're going to take care of business against Arkansas State, and I think we're going to be the hottest team going into Montgomery.
Bro, I thought you were about to say something like, I'm going to go jump in a pool naked or something.
I do not care about Arkansas State.
Something.
I don't care about anything other than Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. I'm telling you, we can compete. We are good enough to compete. I don't think we're a good baseball team. Everybody follow me. We haven't been a good baseball team this year. We haven't. We have gone through about 6 different iterations of this club. We have tried so many different things. We have failed at almost all of them. I'm telling you, this iteration of the club is good enough to go into Southern Miss and win the series, if not sweep. I know that I'm not expecting to sweep, folks. I'm not saying that we're going to sweep. I'm not saying we will sweep. I'm saying that I think on Friday and Saturday, we have an excellent chance to beat them in their park.
I will say this. If we do end up sweeping, the meltdown in Hattiesburg will be fun to watch.
No, it won't be, because they won't be anywhere on social media. You cannot find a Hattiesburg fan after we beat them. They are nowhere to be found. Can I just say that? Is that not the truth?
You can go on Google Maps and like zoom into Hattiesburg.
Football,
it disappears from the map.
Nothing. Yeah. But I got to play this in their honor, though.
Once more.
We do appreciate the Hattiesburg fans tuning in tonight. We have to honor you with this song.
Like she's never soared before.
If I had to hear it when I was a kid, so do you.
From Rocky Coast to Golden Shore, let the mighty eagle soar.
Do you guys remember who that was, by the way?
Yanni?
John Ashcroft, Attorney General of the United States. That was right after 9/11, and everybody was caught in their feels with American pride, and he just decided he was going to get up in there, sing that. But every time we could play these mustard buzzards, got to play it, right?
Speaking of 9/11, the Patriot Act has just somebody put forward legislation to repeal the Patriot Act.
I know. Well, here's the deal. And I mean, obviously I don't want to get into politics, but with the Patriot Act, they have passed so many laws related to the Patriot Act that are actually laws that the Patriot Act, if they rescind it, you still have those laws on the books.
Would be the greatest piece of legislation passed in this country in 20 years.
Yeah, but a lot of the stuff in the act is now written into law. So you would have to go individually repeal each individual law that they've already picked and chosen. You know what I'm saying? To codify. So.
I do. I'm all the way in on,
But hey, I'm
calling
I'm
our
good
congressmen and senators.
I'm good with that.
Anyway,
bro.
Southern Miss to the bottom, baby. Cajuns all the way.
STTBDBBD, whatever. That's stupid. Anyway, Southern Miss to the top.
And just,
like, to the top
just for my credentials, I'm not a homer. I'm the furthest thing from a homer. Well, Cajun dude said, didn't see this coming from you. Look, I'm just telling you guys what I see.
Matt will always... Josh will always give you his honest take. It doesn't always agree with what we think, but hey, gotta respect the man for giving his take. I just want to say that. Before we get out of here tonight, I've got a couple more segments I want to get through. First of all, let's go ahead and look at the Sun Belt Conference softball tournament. I know you guys are so into that, but let's go ahead and get into it. Bear with me one moment. Josh and Jerry both leave when I start doing it. You see how interested they are in softball. I am disappointed in those guys. How dare they? How dare they do this? Remove, add to stage. There we go. All right. Sunbelt Conference softball tournament. Lane, tonight, the Southern Miss Hattiesburg Eagles of Golden dropped the game to the number 10. Oh, no, they were number 10. Who was number 10? Let me look at this. I can't really see this. Oh, they were number 10. They were really bad. Okay, so Coastal Carolina defeated Hattiesburg tonight, so they are out of the tournament. They move on to face Marshall tomorrow. Cajuns get an early game, 10 a.m. Central Time in the quarterfinals as they face the Appalachian State Mountain Ladies. I don't know what they call them. Troy and JMU currently in progress. Winner of that game will move on to face Texas State tomorrow at 4, and then ULM and Georgia Southern to meet tomorrow night at 7 p.m. You know, we talked about this a little bit earlier, Lane, in the week about what it would look like to success would look like for the softball team this season based on everything that has gone on. You see, I'm getting so excited. I'm hitting microphones. Based on everything that has gone on this season, the turmoil, the coaching changes, etc. Talk to me a little bit about what's success for you. I think success is getting to the championship game. What are your thoughts?
Yeah, I agree with you. And I think it sets up well for us on our side of the bracket to get to the championship game. Yes, we lost to the opening series to Marshall early on in the year, but we're a completely different team than we were at the beginning of the season. I don't remember what happened with App State if we played App State this year, but I don't want to face Texas State or ULM those first two games.
I agree.
And I feel like if we end up winning the championship game and getting to it and then winning it, I mean, the sky's the limit for this team, honestly.
I'm disappointed. Softball, see you later. You know what? If they would be number one,
we swept them.
Well, that's what I'm saying. If they would beat us at Tiddlywinks, they would be flexing that shit so hard on social media. But because they're terrible at something they've only beat us twice in the entire life of their program, they don't care about it. It's funny how that works. So that is the story with softball. Best wishes to the ladies tomorrow as they take on Appalachian State. All right, you're ready for the Lanyap segment, guys. You ready? This one I got excited for. I don't know if you have seen this, but there are two British gentlemen, Josh and Jace, that are traveling the United States, trying different foods, etc. They found their way into Scott, Louisiana today. And that's making news around social media as well in Lafayette. Went to Billy's. Let's see what they thought about Billy's Boudin.
Louisiana. We're going to try a place called Billy's Bowden and Crackling. Let's go and try it. This place has been recommended, so let's go. It's like a meat.
First of all, he called it Bowden. Notice that. All right, continue.
I hate these guys.
Really? Well, let's see what they think about it, though.
This is ridiculous.
Market or something. Oh. Do you want a job? Do you want a job? Get in there. I might. I've got to go for Billy's Bowden, haven't I? You've got to go for Billy's Bowden, mate.
The lady heard our accents and said, here's some free boudin. Ooh. I've gone for the crawfish boudin. Does it look nice?
Fine.
What is that? That looks mental. Let's give it a go. Skin on it.
Josh, why do you hate it, man? Tell us your story. What's going on?
First of all, Brit comedy is stupid. They look like morons.
Well,
did Jerry just leave?
He probably fell asleep. The chair.
I've gone for the crawfish boudin. Fuck out of here, dude. You're an idiot.
I did not expect that out of your mouth, dude. That's amazing. All right. Well, at least that leads to my last question of the evening. I've traveled a few places, gone to Canada, gone all around the East Coast, West Coast, in between, tried different dishes as I've traveled. First of all, I will never eat Cajun food outside of Lafayette. I mean, maybe Lake Charles. No, not Lake Charles. Screw that. Lafayette.
By the way, that's where they started their little trip.
I know. By the way,
Cajun food in Lake Charles. Get out of here, dude.
Daryl's and got some. That Daryl's is not good. Anyway, so as I was saying, well, at least they got some food. They did go to the Oyster Bar in Scott today.
Uncle T's?
Yeah, Uncle T's. And they ate some oysters and they were like, holy shit, this is the best thing I've ever eaten. Yeah, you live in Great Britain. Like, it's terrible there. They like a haggis. And that's not boudin, by the way. Anyway, as I was saying, that came up with my question about traveling. And Josh, I know you've traveled all over the world. Lane, I'm not sure. I mean, you traveled to Monroe and Lafayette, so maybe you've traveled some other places. But when you travel, I like to try different dishes at other places that I've never had before. I went, and this is, well, two things. I went to New York. One night I went to Tavern on the Green and had veal. I had never had veal in my entire life. It's pretty damn good. So that's one thing that I traveled and I tried that I'd never had before and thought it was good. One thing I was not crazy about, actually on the same trip in New York, was escargot. I don't understand why people want to eat snails. It tasted squishy in my mouth. It was a high-end restaurant. The other food was really, really good. But escargot is not my thing. So that got me thinking, boys, where have you traveled, tried something new, and either was like, this is the best thing I've ever eaten, or was like, this is crap? I'll start with you, Lane. Like I said, I don't know where you've traveled between Monroe and Lafayette, but tell me what your thoughts are on that.
So I actually have a couple spots there in New Braunfels, Texas, actually. One was at a German restaurant, I believe. It had they had a lot of different options, but I ended up getting the pork schnitzel. It's actually really good.
What is a schnitzel? Is that like a hot dog?
It's kind of like a
just say wiener. Is it a wiener?
No,
I always thought it was a sexual innuendo.
I thought it was like a hot dog.
It's like a chicken fried steak almost, but pork.
Okay.
And
I'm
then
down with that.
Another place was they had like this scorpion pepper pizza. I like trying hot stuff. So whenever I find something hot, I'm like, okay, I'm gonna try it. It was actually pretty good.
Can I ask an honest question? Can I ask you an honest question? Did your ass burn the next day?
Oh yeah.
Okay. Yeah.
I was not looking forward to that.
Thank you for sharing. I'm not even going to say this one out loud.
Nice work, Bryce.
Yeah, nice work. Definitely nice work, Bryce. Jerry, welcome back, man. Good to have you. Your thoughts on where have you traveled? And I swear to God, if you say Destin and you say seafood soup, I'm kicking you off the stream. But where have you traveled that you've tried something that was either super good or like absolutely terrible?
Yeah, so when I was little, we traveled to Australia. When my dad was in the oil and gas industry, we had some, I guess he had some customers out in the Asia area. And we took a 2-week trip to Asia in Australia. And for Thanksgiving, while Thanksgiving was going on in the States, I was eating kangaroo in Sydney. And it actually, it was so long ago, but I remember it tasting kind of like beef. It was actually really good. I didn't even know that was a popular food down there. I always noticed the kangaroo being the popular animal in Australia, but I didn't think it was a delicacy. And
how did they catch it? Because those things are mean, bro. They bow up. Like
they kick you back. Yeah, it was really good. It was really good. I remember eating kangaroo, and that was definitely the most unique I've ever had. I remember in Hong Kong one time, and this is not, I'm gonna just say I'm not even a shrimp eater, okay? But they were at the hotel in Hong Kong. There was something called drunken shrimp, and they would bring it out in front of you. They would have the tank of shrimp, and they would take it out, and they would pour like liquid,
pour the stuff on it. Yeah,
the shrimp would just start jumping up and down, and I don't even remember if I ate it or not. I just remember it being like this sort of like
disgusting.
It was an event. I don't know what they put in. I just remember them jumping on the pot or the pan. But yeah, as far as unique food, definitely kangaroo was the one that stood out to me from Australia. That was
that's interesting. I didn't know they eat that. That's like horse. Like you don't eat a horse, you don't eat a kangaroo. I don't know, man.
It's like beef. It's like regular beef. I guess it's kind of like how we eat deer meat. You know, I don't know if deer meat's popular internationally, but I know here we eat deer meat. I guess it's kind of the same thing. Maybe, I don't know.
I suppose. I don't know. Cajun Zookeeper came to Houston a couple weeks ago. I've actually been to Cidercade, and it's pretty cool. You get play arcade machines. Really, really good food there too. But I was drunk when I went there, so I could have been. You know, who knows? It was a work event. I don't know. Joshua, you've traveled the world. Tell us what you think.
So in the Scandinavian countries, rotten shark is a delicacy. Have you heard this?
I've heard of whale in Alaska, but never rotten shark. No.
I knew shark is popular in like Asian countries, but I didn't know that it was popular in the Nordic area.
The Vikings used to eat rotten shark. It was some sort of a delicacy. Anyway, can confirm disgusting. Yeah.
Is it specifically shark? Because I watched something on YouTube the other day where it was like they would take rotten fish that sat out for like hundreds of days and then in the sun and then like puree it almost. And
when you try it, you will not want to try anything else. I'll just say that.
Lane, are you okay, bro? You're turning green over there, bro. Lane looks like he's about to heave. Don't do it on camera. Kind of disappear into your background again.
Shark.
Yeah, I've heard of the whale though. Have you ever seen that? Like, you can't. The natives of Alaska like whale meat. Like they'll kill a whale and then eat the meat and the fat.
So I don't know about whale, but I did get some black-tipped shark from Rouse's one time. It was actually pretty good. It wasn't rotten or old.
Black-tipped shark at Rouse's? That's impressive.
Yeah.
That is crazy.
It was during Shark Week too. So that's why it was there, I guess.
Is shark meat tougher? Like Josh, when you had it, was it tougher or was it
extremely tough? You had to gnaw on it like rubber, and it tasted rotten. That's
just nasty, bro. Like what?
That's my 5-star review. It's ass.
But
terrible.
why? But why?
I'm not a Viking. I don't know.
All right, yeah. I do know in England a popular dish is a kidney pie.
Yeah, I've heard of that. Yeah.
I remember seeing that on a menu one time, and I'm like, who would eat that?
Rocky Mountain oysters in Colorado. I saw that one time. You know
also gross. And swordfish, also gross. I had that in Denver as well.
You know, have you ever heard of Navajo tacos? Because they have that in like Salt Lake. That Native American food. I didn't know what that was, but I went to Salt Lake one time and they had a Native American place. They had Navajo tacos. I don't know what was in it. But
I got a question for you guys.
White man scalp.
Like as proud as we are of our food here in South Louisiana, do you think there's been people that have gotten that have seen what we eat and have said, "Oh, that's kind of gross"? Like say something like turtle soup,
dude,
or crawfish.
Hello.
Yeah, I've always kind of wondered how people looked at crawfish from other places because we love it here, obviously. But I guess if somebody's not used to seafood or shellfish,
you say we love it. Like my sister-in-law hates it; she won't eat it. Like I know a lot of people who will not eat crawfish. So
and a lot of people don't eat it because it's hard to work for to eat,
and they live in the mud.
Yeah,
I guess that's another question. What in South Louisiana would you not eat? I will say blood boudin. I have no.
Oh, I got a list.
I'm not.
I mean, you won't even eat crawfish, dude. So
I'm not a shrimp eater. Honestly, I don't like shrimp. I unless it's barbecue or made.
Dude's gonna eat some seafood soup, but he's not gonna eat the shrimp inside of it. Then what is seafood?
No, I mean they got other fish and crab and stuff in there. I can't. Shrimp is. I don't know. It's weird. I don't get it. I don't know why. I wish I had an acquired taste for it. I don't like
Probably
it.
because you saw some guy in Hong Kong drowning him in front of you. Probably PTSD. Josh, what do you hate, man?
Crazy.
What do you hate?
There's a ton of shit that normal people wouldn't eat, like possum and squirrel, and raccoon.
Hello.
Okay, sure.
People eat it,
but that's not normal. That's like Ville Platte.
Like people catch turtles out of the ditch and eat it.
Turtle soup's pretty good.
Well, regular turtle soup, like farm raised turtle soup, but dudes are like catching it out of the ditch when it rains a lot and eating.
And who's eating nutria? That's what I want to know.
People eat nutria.
A couple of interesting things I saw at Best Stop the other day was a bone-in alligator leg and like a whole rabbit. I'm like, how do you cook that?
Like La Pan's good, but you got to cook it right, so it could be gross. But like if you eat a cowboy stew here, you don't know what the hell is in that. Everything I just mentioned's in that. So if you've ever eaten cowboy stew, you're screwed. You've eaten it.
I like alligator, but alligator typically when you eat alligator, it's the tail meat. It's not even from like any part of like because it's all fat, right? So it's
also has to be prepared properly. You can't just eat alligator.
No, because then it's tough. Like you got to do it right. Walk-Ons actually, surprisingly, has a really good fried alligator, and the Chimes has a great blackened alligator. They cook it right, but you can't just eat some alligator and think. I couldn't get my people from New York to try it when they came down here. They were just
only
picturing an alligator.
Restaurants. I don't send my money to Baton Rouge restaurants, so I wouldn't know.
Tsunami downtown has alligator in their sushi. Like I think it's called like the Raging Cajun roll, and it's like a piece of fried alligator on top. It's my favorite roll there.
Do you eat raw sushi?
No.
You got parasites, Josh. You need to go get it cleansed. You probably got parasites.
As I could be.
I gotta eat it.
I'm in great shape.
I'm not saying you're not in good shape. You probably got the parasites. I need a parasite to lose some weight, man. Tapeworm.
Sushi's some of the best stuff you can eat.
I like Yeah,
Cooked sushi's not sushi. I don't even want to know why we
I
call
like
it sushi.
sushi for like a week. Like literally,
Yeah,
I ate sushi every day for 5 days and like this is the best shit ever. And then on the 6th day, I don't know what happened, but I was like, "Bleh," and I couldn't eat it anymore.
Yeah, I like when it comes to like salmon, right? I've eaten raw salmon. I'm not crazy about it. Now, cooked salmon, I can eat that every day.
So you ate cooked salmon wrapped in rice. You didn't eat sushi.
Yeah, you didn't eat sushi because that's what I would eat. I'd eat the salmon, whatever roll that was that had raw salmon in it. It was good for 5 days, 6 days. That's dude.
Yeah, I'll say this, man. When it comes to food, especially for you, Nick, in Houston, there's like a piece of everything in Houston.
Oh yeah.
I mean, there's a Chinatown, there's a little Vietnam, Mexican is as good as it gets. No, so many steakhouses.
I ate the best Chinese. I went to Chinatown the other night and I ate the best Chinese I've ever eaten in my life. And it wasn't like the Chinese, like it's real Chinese food.
Oh no. There's no. That what they have in Lafayette outside of maybe Noodle House is like that fake white people Chinese food.
Oh yeah.
It's like
if you have a buffet, if you have a buffet that's not Chinese, two, if they have little Debbie cakes on the buffet for dessert, not a real Chinese place. Like I'm talking about real China.
No, I did.
Oh, I know.
I did go to the Asian market that they put in Lafayette, that expanded, I guess, but they had like whole eels and like random fish that I had never heard of.
Yep.
And they're live. You could buy them live. I'm like, what in the world?
I'll
put
say
that in your aquarium, bro.
I'll tell you what I like in Houston, Nick, when it comes to Chinese is Ocean Palace. We go get dim sum there on Saturdays. And when you walk in, like most of your dim sum places at good Chinese restaurants, they're like ballrooms. It's like you can have a wedding reception in there.
Oh, yeah, I know.
All the tables, there's full of like Chinese people. I always tell people the best Chinese restaurants is when you go into a Chinese restaurant, they're all round tables and they're all full of Chinese people just talking out loud. That's when you know you're at a good place.
Well, it's like Greek places. If you walk in and it looks like the Parthenon on the wall, you know you're in a good Greek place.
Wait, so you mean to tell me if you walk into a Chinese restaurant and they have the same dingy wallpaper and a fish tank, that's not good?
Oh, no. If they have a fish tank, most of those good places have, and I'm talking big fish tanks. I'm not talking the little tiny.
What about just
eating koi for dinner?
4x8 square?
No.
With
We're
the koi, they've outgrown it and they can't move and it's all green.
We're talking
so should we run at that point?
No, we're talking. If you go in with an aquarium sized, you're at the right place. You're at the right place, 100%.
That one burner takes a picture of that 5-year-old kid who's working the counter at a Chinese place in Lafayette. And I got
you don't get more authentic than child labor at a Chinese restaurant.
That was Panda House, but like even them, it's not authentic. Like it's that typical look on the menu, and yeah.
But it's funny because I got Antonio Brown for some reason follows me. I'm like one of 200 people he follows. CTESPN hashtag go dude.
Nick, he was on Kill Tony this week.
I know. I need to go back and watch that. But he followed me, and so I like tagged him in it. And I guess because if you're following somebody, that's a priority in your notifications. And so like he retweeted it, and that tweet blew up all over the world. And I'm just thinking, man, freaking Antonio Brown's talking about this little kid. And I think I can't say what he hashtagged or what of the week it was, but it was pretty funny that AB, man, he's definitely off his Lexapro this week. He even admitted it. But when he's on his Lexapro, he's pretty damn funny.
Yeah, I tell you, yeah, that was. I mean, all one of the burners did was go get like a plate lunch from there. Took a picture of the kid. And then it's just like millions of people just like.
I was like, you owe me, bro. I got you all this attention. Like
even me, like who's got like being Chinese. I thought it was hilarious. Like I'm like, this is brilliant. This is awesome. In Lafayette of all places for it to go viral.
I did get AB to make a video for me one time for fantasy football, so I probably need to pull that out and bring it on here one day to show you guys.
No, now you got me hungry for dim sum, dude. Next time I come to Houston, I'm gonna call you. We're gonna go to Ocean Palace.
Well, last question I'm gonna ask you guys, and then we're gonna call it a night because it's been an hour and a half, and now we're going off the rails. I do have a question. Oysters. So, are you a raw oyster guy or charbroiled? I like charbroiled oysters, but I've tried raw once and I was like, this is not bad, but I don't want to die at the same time. Josh, your thoughts on raw oysters?
My thoughts are when I go out to pay for food, I don't want to leave hungry, so I order like real food. I don't order oysters because there's nothing. You're nuts if you got to eat like 12 Rockefeller oyster platters to be full, and I'm not spending my
To
time.
me, it's like
or
an
too much
appetizer.
work.
It's an appetizer.
Yeah.
It's like a preview of the real food.
It's almost like an initiation. Will you eat this? Are you Cajun or not? That's all it is. It's not a meal. Come on.
You know, one of the funniest things Stevie P ever said was a salad is a promissory note for a meal. That's what I kind of feel like with oysters. It's a promissory note for a meal.
Wow.
Stevie P said that?
He
That's
did
actually
say,
really funny.
Stevie P's hilarious. He does not eat.
Maybe not on the radio, maybe in person.
He does not eat any type of green. Like if it's green, he ain't eating it. Like my man, call cat. It's a promissory note for a real meal. Jerry, do you do raw oysters or not?
I can't do it, man. I don't like the taste. Now, if you give me
I like
charbroiled,
the taste actually.
I don't like the taste raw. Now, if you do charbroiled and it's seasoned right, I can tolerate it. Like I know Don's used. I haven't been in a while. Josh, maybe you might know. Do they still do that Monday night special with the raw oysters at Don's? I know they used to do that.
They do.
Tragos.
You can sit right up there and watch them cook it. It's awesome.
Yeah,
Don's
like-
is
Oh
actually,
yeah, I love that. Yeah,
Don's
yeah.
is so slept on. Don's Hut is slept on. It's ridiculous.
And they've improved so much
so
over the
great.
past few
it's
years.
a great
Yeah.
spot.
They
For anybody
have-
who's
and-
watching at Southern Miss, if you're going to make a trip to come to basketball or baseball next year or whatever, Don's Hut. You
But
gotta
there
try-
will
it's
be a
great
lot of old
spot.
people there because it's
Oh,
an
yeah.
old people place. But
It's
man,
Boomer Central,
But
and
it's
it's
still-
expensive,
it's-
but it's worth it.
Yeah.
Their food's gotten a lot better, but like the thing about oysters to me is like I can't. The reason why I can't eat it raw, so I have to have it to where if it's like cooked just right and charbroiled just right with a good seasoning. Drago's had the Drago's that closed down here had good oysters too, but I can't do it raw like in a gumbo or just I just can't.
yeah, I don't like it in gumbo. I don't want it
Can't
on
do
a
it.
po' boy. Like, but
Nah, don't like
sometimes you'll
it
get
either.
Rockefeller's good. Sometimes they'll do it baked just right with boudin and stuff, and then you're not really eating. You're eating everything but oyster at that point. But anyway, Lane, your thoughts, and then we'll call it a night, man.
So I don't really do raw oysters. I do like char grilled or char broiled, and every now and then I will partake in some fried oysters.
Love it. All right, boys, it has been a fun night. Enjoyed the interaction with our friends from Southern Miss. Appreciate them joining us as well as our own fans. But we do have to call it a night. We do have work tomorrow. At least I do. I don't know about you boys. I don't know about you, Jerry. I don't know what you do during the day.
I call you.
Yeah, exactly. Like, share, and subscribe. We appreciate all the likes and the shares and subscriptions that we get. Also, want to thank one more time Dr. Brett Venable with Acadiana Chiromed, Lafayette Roofing, especially with the latest storms. If you need a roof inspection, they're not going to ask you for any money. It's no hassle. Just call Lafayette Roofing. Darren Domingue will hook you up with a free roof inspection and see what's going on there. Eat Lafayette, Rage and Hydration, all great sponsors of the Rage and Review show and website. Oh, and by the way, Award Master, guys, we need to work on the paddle award.
Perfect.
We
On top
just
of it,
need,
yep.
we're going to get Award Master on board with this, and we're going to get an award. Maybe it starts with us trading it off with their podcast, and football and baseball and all that good stuff. But we're going to call those guys and get it going. So that'll be a lot of fun. For my boy Lane, for Jerry, and for Danny Lynch's stepdad, Josh, I am Nicholas. I hope that you all have a wonderful rest of your day. Of course, hope the Cajuns pull it off tomorrow in the Sun Belt softball tournament. And this weekend, we sweep those dirty birds of Hattiesburg. Y'all have a good week. And until next time, go Cajuns.